Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This inquiry into the nature of reality is not just an abstract inquiry into reality. Okay? It's not just some philosophers who are just sitting and thinking about, oh, what's the universe, right? As a kind of one entity who's looking into one given subject matter. Okay? It is meant for what? Mumukshu. What is mumukshu? Muktum ichuhu. Okay? What? The person who is desirous of one's own liberation. Okay? So that means that it's not just, that's why you call it a spiritual pursuit. Okay? Because you are very much involved. Okay? You want to become alive to realities for what? Finding your own ultimate freedom and contentment. Okay? So that means knowing of the reality is connected to what?
Liberation.
Your personal liberation. So that means if you spend your life not knowing the reality, okay, or continuing to project your own conclusions on the reality, what happens?
You don't reach the goal.
You don't exactly. That means if there is something that which is limitless, and if you don't see it as limitless, you see it as what? Limited. Between limited and limitless, what is the distance?
Infinite.
There is a, can you see the gravity of the error?
Yes.
Okay. So that means, what is my attempt is to know the reality. But the reality happens to be the most desirous thing, okay, for me. Okay. So therefore, I have no choice but to remove my distortions and begin to see the reality in its true light. Because by doing that, I am helping myself. I am solving the most fundamental problem that each one of us has when we engage in the world. What? We look for fulfillment. Okay. Do we find the fulfillment? No. Okay. So that means we are looking for solution to what? My fulfillment. Where does the solution lie?
In knowing the realities.
In knowing the realities. Okay. So knowing the realities, as we had said, includes three things. Knowing the reality of the cause of the universe, knowing the reality of the universe, and knowing the reality of I. Okay? Up to now, what have we seen? Knowing the reality of
The universe.
the universe. What is the universe? Ishvara. So that means the cause of the universe, okay, is now not separate from the universe. What is the relationship between the universe and the cause of the universe? It is Satya Mithya relationship. Because it is a Satya Mithya relationship, the universe depends entirely upon the cause. While the cause, does it depend upon the universe? No. Okay? Because the relationship is that of Satyam and Mithya, therefore you arrive at oneness. Okay? Because between Satyam and Mithya there are no two things, it's only one. Between Mithya table and Satyam, in this case wood, are there two things? No. So every time, the very fact that you say something has a dependent reality means it has no real existence of its own. Okay? So that means what it depends upon, okay, is really one thing. The dependent reality has no separate existence. Okay? Therefore you arrive at one. If they both enjoy the same order of reality, you don't arrive at one, you arrive at many. Okay? So up to now, we have looked into what? The universe. It is what? Mithya. It has a dependent reality. Dependent reality on what?
The cause.
The cause. What is the cause of the universe? All knowledge, all power. Okay? So that means, and that is where it pervades everything. What does everything mean?
The whole universe.
The whole universe. What does whole universe mean?
Forms, laws,
Forms, laws,
order.
orders,
Yeah.
physical, subtle, causal.
Okay.
Very important. Right? Okay? That's what the cause. That means the whole Jagat is mithya. As of now, that all knowledge and all capacity is what we call Satyam. When the relationship between Satyam and Mithya is such that Mithya depends upon Satyam, whereas Satyam is independent of Mithya, therefore you come to what? One. Okay. Now, the other question, which is who am I, okay, is still remaining. Okay. So we have looked into this question because the understanding of reality includes three things: me, the universe, and the cause of the universe. Okay. So now we are focusing on what? I. Okay. So Mumukshu is not only interested in the cause and the universe. Okay. The Mumukshu is also interested in knowing the nature of I. In knowing the nature of I and the relationship between I, Jagat, and the cause of the universe is the freedom. You can't have a partial understanding of things because in this Jagat there are three things. There is me, who's looking at the universe. There is the universe. Okay, and then what has brought about this universe. Okay, so that means if I focus on only one thing, which is I, can my understanding of what is be complete?
No.
No. If I focus only on the cause without inquiring into I, is my inquiry complete? No. If I focus only on Jagat, okay, and not on the cause and I, is my inquiry complete? No. So that means in order to solve this whole puzzle, you need what?
The link between
The link, not only each one you need to understand thoroughly, but you need to know the link between the whole. Right? That's what completes the whole vision. Otherwise, it is partial looking into realities. Okay? So, now we move to the third and the very critical part of Vedanta, which is looking into the nature of I. Okay? What we have seen so far, who am I? Initially, one thing you have to remember, what we have seen so far, I am the only thing in this universe which is self-evident. Okay? For everything else, for me to know, either I require my perception or my inference. Okay? So that means if I already know that I am, why do I need to expose myself to any knowledge?
Moksha.
Yeah, moksha. That means what? I want freedom. What does it then mean? Very good. What does it mean? That my I, as I see it right now, is what?
Dependent reality.
It's a very limited sense of I that I have. Right?
Clouded by perception and
Exactly.
inference.
Clouded by lots of conclusions.
Mm.
Okay? Conclusions related to what? My body,
Body.
connected to my body, the nature of my body. How many complexes? You know, we all understand body is nothing but cells. Okay? But how many complexes we carry within us with reference to the nature of body we have?
Mm.
Okay? So that means on one hand I hold this information, body is nothing but cells. Okay? But on the other hand I can have this complex, oh, I'm not fair but I'm dark.
Mhm.
Two things can simultaneously exist
Yeah.
until you assimilate and reorient your thinking where the depth of that understanding is not something floating in your mind unconnected to everything else.
Mm.
You need to integrate to become one person with one vision, not conflicting ideas all floating around. Sometimes this idea takes over or sometimes that idea takes over. That is your personal growth. You have to take care of it. Okay? So that means these two things can coexist. This is what we call the play of Ishvara, the ingenuity with which Ishvara works. Until you are ready, this knowledge will evade you. Even if you come and you attend, your mind will not create the accurate meaning and not integrated meanings. Okay? Last card is in whose hand? At any given time, who understands how much and how much effort the person makes to make the necessary changes, to own up to seeing this reality clearly without any shades of vagueness, any shades of doubt, okay, and realigning one's being with this vision. Okay, last card is in whose hand?
One's own hand.
One's own hand, along with what? Ishvara.
Ishvara.
Because if it is in your hand, next minute you want to become the wise person.
Mhm.
But you are operating within laws.
Mm.
Laws of dharma, karma, laws of the universe. Until you prepare yourself adequately, knowledge will keep evading you. It will be either partial, okay, or not available, or not reflecting in your behaviors. It is all just that enough preparedness is not there to become the person who is eligible for holding the totality of this vision and living it. Okay, so this is what is extremely important to understand. That means your whole life is oriented towards what? Listening to Vedanta again and again, so that you can refine your understanding, and then what? Growing as an individual, so you become more integrated person who can hold the vision. What is a human growth? Becoming a sattvic person. What is a sattvic person? Different aspects.
Yeah.
We saw that.
But yeah.
Everything is connected. Don't think that, oh, that is all just, okay, Dhanam I know, and the Yajna, who cares? That's just some Vedic ritual, who cares? No. Okay? All the proper understanding of it all has direct implication of what? You, how you see the Jagat, how you interact with it, until you reorient yourself. Okay, bringing the awareness and the right values. Okay, this knowledge will be far. Ishvara will keep that card.
Mm.
Okay, if it was up to you, you will choose when the knowledge will take place, but you don't.
Mm.
No, you don't. Definitely.
And how much you assimilate. That means you have to make an effort.
Yeah.
Make an effort till you are blessed
Blessed.
with this knowledge. Okay, where the clarity emerges. What do? Gayatri mantra. Every day prey. Okay? Because we are so committed to our thoughts, okay, which seem like great wisdom to us. But they keep us from understanding the reality. Okay? What choice do I have to give up those thoughts? Okay? Why am I investing in thoughts which are keeping me from making me realize I am limitless? What is this great need for me to hold on to my ideas?
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Okay? I have to remove shades and shades and shades of ignorance, okay, which even does not make me realize the errors that I commit, because my errors become my pet ideas. Okay, so that is what we say reorienting and growing as an individual. Okay, now let's come back to this final reality about nature of I. Okay. The I, as I said, is something which is self-evident, but it is fraught with all kinds of conclusions. So how does the pramana help me? This pramana is Veda. Okay? The words of the Veda, what does it do? Remove all these conclusions so that you can see the I in its proper light. Okay? So there we have seen I am not the body. Okay? Then I work to make sure that I don't suffer from the feeling that what? I'm dark. Right? Somebody was saying that in South India, the cream that sells the most is
Fair
what?
and lovely.
Fair and lovely.
Fair and lovely.
Okay? That means the beauty is connected to what? Being fair. Okay? Being fair means it is not just my body I want to be fair. If I am fair, I am beautiful. Okay? My I gets involved, connected to what?
My looks,
The color of
my skin.
in my skin. Okay? Not only it gets connected, there is so much suffering because of that. Okay? Entanglements, complex. She is awareness, which is independent of body, mind, sense complex. He is awareness, which is independent of body, mind, sense complex. Right? So you've understood my words and you have created a mental picture of what the nature of that awareness is. Now the teacher has to take you further and say, no, that's not what it is. Okay? This is what we call sophisticated methodology to lead you to see what is. Okay? Now, the next step, I have to remove this notion. Okay? So that means now we have to re-examine and say, are there many pockets of awareness?
No.
No. Why?
Because awareness is the whole.
Wonderful. How do you know? That's true. The answer is right.
A would be logical based on everything you've said.
Yes.
If I accept everything else you've said, then how can there be separate awarenesses?
Okay.
And B, I think we know it. We already know it.
If
We may
everybody
not
knew
understand.
it,
May not understand it, but we're listening to you because we already recognize it. That's where.
Okay. Now, you have to, in fact, Vedanta is a little bit more inquiry based, right? So we have to say, use our logic again, okay? And we have to say that if my awareness was different from his awareness, I have to give some attribute to my awareness which will distinguish it from his awareness. Okay?
Thoughts.
Exactly. So that means thoughts, my thoughts are different from your thoughts, right? There is no doubt about it. But I have already dismissed the thought as being awareness. Okay? So that means I have freed the awareness from the quality of thoughts. Okay? So that means which attribute you will put to, when I say two things are different, how do I say two things are different? One has one attribute and the other one has another attribute.
Mithya. One is mithya and one is satya.
Exactly, right? So that means with awareness, once I have separated it from the thought, what is the attribute of my awareness which would be different from his awareness? Can you find any attribute? No. Exactly. You don't find an attribute. So therefore, logically, you cannot say that my awareness is different from his awareness. You see that?
Yes, yes. It's all pervasive.
It's all pervasive. Exactly. You have to. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, I feel it, I know it. It's not true.
No. The first thing I said was, based on everything you've laid out,
Yeah.
the logic points to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Second thing was
Yes,
something else.
exactly. Right. So that means you cannot give any attributes to awareness which will make my awareness different from any other awareness. Okay. So that means awareness is one whole, all pervading awareness. Okay. But the illusion is what? That awareness seems to be confined, fragmented, confined to one given body, and then it takes on as though the attributes of the body, the mind, and whole life is lived what? Thinking, imputing all these qualities onto awareness. Okay. Then, still one more. Yes, exactly. Now, that means I have freed my awareness from any attributes. I have made it all pervasive. I have made Ishvara all pervasive. Okay. Now, the final thing. What is now Ishvara? What do I understand as all knowledge, all power? What do I understand the nature of I as awareness, all pervasive? Now, I need to reconcile one last thing. What is the relationship between awareness and all knowledge? Which is Ishvara. Which
It's the
has
same thing.
exactly. How? Yeah, go through the logic. Correct. The answer is right.
Because since awareness is all pervasive
Yes.
and it is independent of everything, and since Ishvara is also.
A plus. Okay. What is the relationship between all knowledge and awareness? One question.
Independent.
Which one is independent? No?
The Ishvara is independent,
Okay.
isn't it?
Ishvara is always independent.
Yeah, Ishvara is the
Say
independent.
what you said.
Only one thing.
Okay. There is only one thing. You can't have two things, right? So you have to refine a little bit. Okay? Because otherwise you'll have two things independently existing, limiting
you
each
can't
other. You can't have.
have two things.
Right? So that means you have to figure out a relationship between awareness and all knowledge and all power. You are given a clue.
It is the same actually.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How is it the same? Tell me, how is it the same?
It's all knowledge. It's just
Well, awareness
Think
is the
about it, I will
inquiry
tell you.
that you have made to understand all knowledge. It's the inquiry that has led you to all knowledge, and then you realize it's the same thing, because you would not have awareness if you did not understand all knowledge, or didn't have a link with that.
Okay.
The awareness is all pervasive.
Yes.
And
Really?
All knowledge, all omnipresence, omniscience, omnipotence are all facets of something that is one.
Yeah. So what
They're
is the
just
relationship
that's
with
just our division, so we can try to grasp the whole.
there is no difference. It is the same, right?
There should not
Asking
be
us how
too
it's-
limitless.
There cannot be two limitless. Kashi is right,
Right.
right? So that means Kashi is absolutely right. So you have to find a solution now. You can't say awareness
Is
Right?
limitless and Ishvara
Is limitless. You can't have that. Logically,
So
you
both are
can't
the
have that. So how are they same? Tell me one thing.
So all
So,
knowledge is physical, subtle, and causal, and awareness is part of the subtle, right?
no.
Awareness is
No.
also all
Awareness
knowledge.
is, yeah, exactly.
Awareness
No.
is nothing but knowledge of Ishvara.
No, okay. So,
Awareness.
okay. Now, what they were saying is slightly different, right? Because in the scientific world, the consciousness is what we call epiphenomena. Means that when the neurons come together, there is the consciousness is produced. So he is placing consciousness in Sukshma Sharira. Okay?
Like
Are
the
we
coma.
talking about the
No.
consciousness? When we use the word consciousness, are we using it in that sense?
No.
No. Okay? What we are saying is, okay, so that means that there is that particular phenomena of your when neurons come together and they are able to think, that we are attributing to Ishvara. Okay, so that's not
That's a subtle.
yeah, exactly, right. So the meaning of awareness is not that. Okay, so that's why we incorporate when we say Ishvara includes subtle here and there. That's what that subtle means, which makes it alive. Okay. Here, when we are talking about awareness, we are not talking about that the being
The conscious.
sentient.
Yeah. Otherwise, in coma, you're talking about
Exactly.
like a person who's in coma is not conscious. That's not the
Exactly. Right? So, the awareness that we are talking about is not something which is confined, it's not something which is part of your sukshma. That's not what we are talking about. Okay? We are talking about that because of which anything that happens in your sukshma sharira, which is all the different thoughts that you are aware of. Okay? So that means there are two things. You are right. Your answer is correct. One, it's one. But the relationship cannot be both are the same. And the relationship is Satyam and Mithya. I'll tell you. Okay? Which one is Satyam and which one is Mithya? Okay? Can all knowledge exist without awareness?
No.
No.
You have to be aware of the all knowledge.
Exactly. Exactly. Without the presence of awareness or consciousness, there can never be all knowledge.
But here you mean by knowledge you mean kind of material knowledge.
No, all knowledge I mean Ishvara.
Everything.
Ishvara, which includes everything that we have discussed. I'm not talking about any material or anything. Okay? We are talking about the relationship between I, awareness, and all knowledge, which is Ishvara.
Can you repeat that?
Okay. If I look at my own intelligence, it will give me an insight. My intelligence, okay? Which has a dependent reality and which has an independent reality. Between awareness and intelligence, which has a dependent reality and which has an independent
Intelligence has dependent.
reality. Exactly. Right? In my intelligence, when I look, intelligence has a dependent reality because intelligence cannot be without awareness, but awareness can exist without intelligence. Why? Because when I go to sleep, there is no such thing called active intelligence, but I am very much there. Okay? Awareness is free from being any attributes of intelligence or anything like that. Intelligence, we saw, is one aspect of antakarna. Right? So that means the relationship is what Satyam and Mithya. My little intelligence depends entirely upon awareness for its existence, whereas awareness is independent of intelligence. Now this little awareness, okay, now you make it into all intelligence. The relationship between intelligence and awareness will remain the same, whether it is little intelligence or it is all intelligence. Okay, that means even for all intelligence, okay, to exist, it
Awareness
requires
is
awareness.
required.
Right? So awareness is the final truth, Satyam. And then the all knowledge and all power which manifests in form of the whole universe depends upon that awareness for its existence. Okay? So that means,
I am.
yes, exactly. Tat Tvam Asi. Tat, what do I find? Tat, Ishvara, all knowledge and all power. Tvam, me, the little individual. Okay? When I begin to look into the truth of this little individual, what do I come to? Awareness. When I look into the truth of this all knowledge and all power, what do I come to? Awareness. Awareness is the ultimate reality, Sat. Okay? The same awareness, when it appears as the total, you call it Ishvara. When it appears within that total, one little manifestation, we call it the person, the individual. Same awareness poses itself on one hand as the all knowledge and on the other hand as all these little knowledge, which we call individuals. Okay? To make it more concrete for your understanding, there is a very nice example of wave, ocean and water. Okay? Wave, the individual, I. Okay? Who is mortally afraid of going to the shore? Okay? Because that is my extinction. I look at other waves which seem to do so much better than me. I have all kinds of complexes. Okay? All kind of feeling of lack. Feeling of self-judgments. Feeling of victimization. Okay? This little wave who's struggling for one's fulfillment, there is what? A wise wave, a guru wave, who comes and says, hey, why are you suffering? He says, look at this. I'm in this vast world. I'm going to go to the shore. I will be extinct. But while I'm living, there are all these people who are doing so much better than me. I have all kinds of complexes and I have to deal with my life with all these burdens that I'm carrying, and I'm just looking for fulfillment. The Guru wave smiles. Guru wave says, hey, all these burdens that you are carrying are something which are due to ignorance. I'll make you re-look at what is. What is the first thing the Guru wave does? Makes that little frightened wave understand that there is the ocean. Ocean, which what? Is one entity, it includes what? All waves. Waves of the past, waves of the present, and waves of the future. Is the little wave isolated? No. It's part of the whole. Okay? Every other wave is what? Part of the whole ocean. The ocean contains everything. The little wave who was initially frightened and isolated begins to have some sense of belonging. Because it doesn't see oneself as one separate entity who has to fight every force to manipulate in order to feel good about oneself. It begins to see itself as part of the one whole system of things. That whole contains every part. Begins to relate to the world differently, keeping in mind what? The ocean, the one's relationship with ocean and everybody else's relationship with the ocean. All the actions, yajna, tapaha, danam, everything is now done, but what? Keeping what in mind? one's connection with the ocean. Now, the Guru wave thinks, now this person has been nurtured enough. Let me take that person to another step. Okay. And he says, okay, now you have understood that you are really part of the whole. But I'm going to make you see the reality in a slightly different way. He says, now I'm beginning to show you something else. Okay?